Whatever Asobo Studios decides, whether to leave the story here or to make a Plague Tale Corruption, I'll be happy with either. Asobo Studios, you now have my support.
They made another one! Welcome to A Plague Tale Requiem, the sequel to the first game I ever reviewed, and oh boy, I've changed my style a lot since then. Sorry to disappoint these three kind commenters, I have more fun with this new style. It seems Asobo decided they weren't done yet and made another Plague Tale despite the last one ending so satisfyingly. Now, this was clearly the right move financially for the studio. But was it the right move creatively? Yes. Okay, let's do this like last time, except I vaguely know what I'm doing this time. Let me start off with a message for the devs and anyone involved with this game. I freaking love it. It's my game of the year, maybe ever. However, saying that isn't funny, so I will be making fun of the game. I want you to understand that it's from a place of love, not hate. You all did a fantastic job. Okay, love you. Oh, also, spoilers. Frick you. Alright, let's start with what we're all thinking about. I'm gonna go down a limb and say rats. The rat AI and tech have been upgraded since the last game. Instead of having 5,000 rats at once, you now get up to 300,000. The game doesn't use that many in every encounter, however. When the rats are simply an obstacle for the puzzles, there are only a few, relatively speaking, in your way. Just enough that you can't continue without light.
Ah! My eyes!
Usually they're saving the 300,000 rats for the tidal waves that it throws at you in these chase sequences. These bits are some of the best moments in the game. Considering this is one of, if not my favorite game ever, that's saying something. Especially towards the end of the game. Crap starts getting insane. Thanks to my boy Hugo, I can drive the rats just like my 2005 Honda Civic. The memories. But aside from rats, what else does this game have going for it?
Alright, you want to see a trick that you're not going to be able to do if you play the game, but because I'm fully upgraded?
He was moving.
Frick!
An intruder.
A Plague Tale Requiem is a narrative-driven, action-adventure survival horror stealth video game developed by Asobo Studios, published by Focus Home Entertainment.
Thank you, Wikipedia. This could be construed as an overly complicated way of saying you're going to be hiding a lot. But from what? Mostly, men. But on rare occasion, Bard. I'm not done with you yet, by the way. So my style of stealth has changed from being a ghost in the night that no one even knew was there, to the Panther playstyle, as Splinter Cell Blacklist calls it. Still stealthy, but there's a lot of evidence. This game complements that playstyle quite nicely. The way you select and use ammunition has been streamlined. Instead of this simultaneously overly simple and cluttered mess from the first game, they made it so you decide how you fired what ammunition type. Sling lets you fire stuff far and fast. Hand tossed is silent. Clay jars allow the chemicals to spread more than usual, and crossbow sticks into things. What are you doing? Including people. Your ammo types are a rock, ignifer, extinguish, tar, and odorous. There are also two new leveling systems, a skill system that levels up automatically based on your actions in game, and a crafting system to level up your gear. The skill leveling can be a little annoying at first, as easily the most important one is the crouch speed increase, which honestly should have been available by default. Slow crouch walk speed makes it difficult to keep stealth, so you end up not being able to level it up, so you get caught more, and thus a vicious cycle begins until you finally get the upgrade. On the other end of the balance spectrum, once you upgrade jars to be lethal with Ignifer and crossbow bolts to be able to be retrieved after shooting people with them, the game sort of plays itself. Seriously, the crossbow meta is real. You essentially just have infinite ammo with it. I mean, I'm not complaining.
I deeply enjoy shooting people with a crossbow.
There's some pretty nifty collectibles in this here video game. Hugo's flowers are back, and now you can return the favor by giving him bird feathers. There are also souvenirs, as they're called. They're not as much items with sentimental value as they are extra little moments. From Hugo telling a tree he loves it,
I love you.
Amicia learning about elk sex,
Oh, what the hell?
to a nice, wholesome prayer.
Oh, please. Please. How am I going to do this?
There are also 2 resources that are so rare they kind of double as collectibles. Pirate allows you to get rats away from you by striking the ground like my man General Grievous. And knives allow you to open up these locked workbenches. However, there's a much more interesting way to use knives.
You don't use blades against people.
Something negative I have to say here, however. In most third-person stealth games, including Innocence, when in cover, you can swap the shoulder the camera's over. You can no longer do that in Requiem. I don't know if it got forgotten or if it's just the cover system being janky when I played it, but this does mean that you can only peek corners on your right and not really on your left. This got me caught several times as I'd lose track of an enemy just out of view. There are other new tricks here from your various companions. With Hugo by your side, you can use Rat Dar and drive a horde of rats.
Who's telling me I shouldn't be here?
Lucas can whip out his vape pen and blind people around a fire. Sophia can use this prism to start fires and absorb light from other fires to create a safe space from the rats. Arno can... You want me to talk about the prism more, don't you? I don't know what to tell you, man. This is obviously not how prisms work, but I seriously doubt the writers didn't know this as well. I imagine the conversation was something like, "You want the prism to what?" It's not that complicated. The prism draws light from the fire and shines it out in a way where all 3 of them can be protected from the rats. Okay, I understand that, but you're aware that's not how prisms work. Yes. And yet you want to go through with this. What about realism? There are tidal waves of rats being controlled by a little boy, and this is where your suspension of disbelief drops off? Yes. My point being this, I don't care. And if you do, cope and seethe. Arno is probably my favorite of these companion abilities. His superpower is to kill people while bagpipe music blasts like a true Scotsman, even though he's French with a British accent. Okay, I have to talk about this.
The final chant of the macula.
It's the end of days. We're all doomed.
We need to go back.
Wait, is that Heimskr from Skyrim?
I have a question. Why do we all speak in British accents when we're from
France? I poked fun at the accents last time by saying everyone slips into a British accent from time to time, so the obvious response to such criticism is to drop the French accent altogether and just be British people living in France. But why? Now, if I were a normal person and you asked me that, I'd just say, I don't know, why are you asking me? But as an expert on all things Plague Tale, I say, I don't know. Why are you asking me? But other than that, the voice acting is top-notch. Once again, Charlotte McMurney absolutely killed it as Amicia. Literally.
Come then, show me how you'll do it. That's all you've got. Come on!
From joyfully playing with Hugo
2, 1, hey!
to that classic gamer rage.
No, it's in mine now. You're dead! You're goddamn dead! Hey, calm down! You're starting to speak the devil's tongue!
To despair.
Please. I can't. Help me.
To intense physical pain.
Are you alright?
She nails every one of her lines. I especially like how she mocks Arno.
That is the right attitude.
That is the right attitude.
She got nominated for an award for a very good reason. Clearly a very experienced actress.
This was my first ever audition.
Oh my
was
god.
for Plague Tale.
Okay.
Like as soon after I joined my agency.
Oh. Dang. What a start to a career. Unironically, one of, if not my favorite performance ever. But if we're talking ironically, you could do better. Another standout is Logan Hannon, returning as 5-year-old Hugo. An especially bold choice considering Logan was 12 during Requiem's development and began going through puberty.
I'll often have to practice speaking higher because as I was like 7 when I started recording it as Hugo, my voice has dropped since then, so I'll often have to go back up into here instead of being down here.
Poor lad.
We men stand with you in these moderately uncomfortable times.
But despite that minor setback, Logan absolutely kills his performance as well.
What's the point if I keep ruining everything?
He still manages to be the same cute little boy as before. Isn't that right, little baby? Oh, an adorable little boy. Who's the baby?
I'm not a baby.
Oh, but you are. You're a cute little baby. I'm sorry! Big strong man! Other than that, to my knowledge, these are the only 2 returning actors from Innocence. Lucas's new actor, Kit Connor, made Lucas not just go through puberty, but freaking dolphin dive through it. We'll get back to Lucas's change in a future section. I straight up wouldn't have noticed Beatrice's actress changed if I hadn't looked it up. New characters, Arno and Sophia, are both excellent. Harry Meyer's iconic voice helps make Arno the excellent character that he is. Wish we got to see more of him. And the same could be said about Anna Demetriou's performance as Sophia, except she actually is in the game for more than 3 missions. I especially love the bit where she goes, "Could you 2 not commit genocide for 5 minutes?"
So, are you leaving?
Nah. Lastly, I want to talk about whoever the frick this guy is. Dude has like 4 lines and 2 of them are the funniest in the game thanks to his delivery alone.
My favorite character's coming up.
Sorry to interrupt.
Best.
The Count wants to see you.
Me? Now? But we were about to leave.
He is the Count of Provence, my lady.
Yes. Do you know what the Count wants with me?
No.
I love the idea that Amicia's arc from A Plague Tale Innocence to Requiem was her slowly becoming Sam Fisher, essentially. But her arc from this game into whatever's next is her essentially becoming a pirate.
Before I actually start this section, I want to quickly point out that the character models have changed a bit for everyone in this game. I don't have an issue with this per se, but now Amicia looks identical to my older sister Tara. I am unaware what to do with this information. Like, I'll not see her face for like 20 minutes and Okay, back on topic. I've truly racked my brain for a church-friendly way of saying this, and I've got nothing, so I'm just gonna say it the gross atheist way of saying it. Ugh. Amicia went from a scared little girl in the first game to a complete and total badass at the beginning of this game, and I am here for it. I do want to say, however, holy crap, this girl takes so many hits.
Shoot!
No! Amicia, no!
Not just physically, though, but mentally as well. Behind the mask of a cold-blooded killer, you can see that scared little girl is still there. She's just been silenced by the far more violent Amicia. I mean, she has to, right? If she doesn't make it clear to her enemies that she's dangerous, then they'll kill her and, worse, kill Hugo. But deep down, that's not who she truly is. Well, until I'm at the controls, at least.
There's a guy over there. Extra credit. This game's got such intense themes of like, don't go killing everyone you see, but I'm just like, I can't not.
This inner turmoil of not wanting to kill but wanting to have control over her situation manifests itself in this part where she starts having some sort of anxiety attack and immediately goes on a killing spree. This turmoil continues throughout the game and makes her one of the most engaging characters I've ever had the pleasure of playing as. But what makes her even more engaging is her relationship with Hugo. Like I said last time, Hugo isn't like many game children, where they're super annoying to deal with, but rather, he's super lovable and hilariously cute.
Amen.
Amen.
You can go now.
Thank you.
Amen.
Huh?
Amen doesn't mean thank you, you know?
But all this adorability makes these moments where he's in anguish all the more painful to watch, especially when, you know what? No. I'm not talking about this yet. This was too sad for this early in the video. Okay, what's not sad? Lucas, I have a few jokes for Lucas. As I mentioned earlier, Lucas's actor change accelerated his puberty status from not quite there to all done instantaneously. However, I actually like Lucas more in this game than Innocence. He seemed too young to be as smart as he was. Now his intelligence actually makes sense. On top of this, he has more depth to him than he did before. He has very real connection with Amicia and serves as her anchor when she starts to get a little out of control.
We can still finish this. You hear me, Hugo? We can find that bastard Count and kill him!
No, enough! Amicia, we need to leave this damn rock and take him away from here.
What does he get out of this?
So this is something I asked the writer, Sébastien Renard. I was like, so what's the relationship between the two of them? Need to be confirmed, but this is how I took it. I think that Lucas is in love with Amicia. She can't really acknowledge the love or see the love because she's focusing so much on, her brother.
That's right, everyone. Lucas is a confirmed kind of simp. Really puts things into perspective, doesn't it?
Hey, Amicia. I found this really cool place we could explore together. It's got caves, fields of flowers.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It does, doesn't it?
Hugo would love to see all of this. Let's go right now.
Oh, I didn't mean...
Hugo, we're going to go exploring in a place Lucas found.
And we shall conquer it, too.
Yes, we'll take it for you, my lord.
I had an issue in the first game with Beatrice not giving Amicia any love or affection the whole game, and only giving it to Hugo. In Requiem, she gives Amicia love and affection and immediately dies.
I'm so proud of you.
Problem solved, I suppose. Arno's a new guy. He starts off as an enemy bandit, but later, circumstances make you allies. From here, he starts bonding with Hugo, and despite her initial reluctance, also starts bonding with Amicia a bit later.
You know how to dance this, Arno?
Do I look like it?
Oh, you never know.
However, his bonding time gets cut short by his decision to attempt to kill the Count of Provence. Eventually, though, Hugo still wants him to be free, and with that, he's a changed man. I love this arc, and I love this character. I would love to see... Are you freaking kidding me? Everybody dying up in this club! Thanks to Arno, we're introduced to the oceanic smuggler, Sophia. I was pleasantly surprised by her. I expected her to be a mid-character since Arno was already fulfilling the space of an enjoyable side character, and the math indicates that there can only be one. Apparently, though, that's not how math works. Sophia sticks around a lot more than Arno and remains a fun and interesting character throughout, even continuing to stick around after paying off her debt to Amicia. She genuinely acts in the best interest of the kids, even if it means scolding them.
He looks up to you. And when your death wish becomes his, this is what happens. And this will have consequences.
Alright. Villain time. Literally the second you get to Lacuna, some lady accosts you with some random cult jargon. A video game cult. I'm sure they'll stay peaceful. As soon as the Count and Countess showed kindness, I immediately started a timer to see how long before they turned evil. I do not remember how long the timer went for, but it was slightly longer than expected.
Only reason this world is not burning, but we will protect your brother from that rock.
I sound like we continued ranting as he killed me.
While I did find myself hating the Count a lot, that's less because he's so intricately written and more that Hugo and Amicia are. Literally, if anyone hurts these two, I'm like,
I hope Satan himself burns the flesh from your miserable bones!
Good God, lady!
music.
Oh, that's it. I just have that bagpipe music just blasting in my head right now.
Yes, another area where Requiem got nominated. And snubbed. Olivier Deve is once again the composer of this game, and now one of my favorite musicians. Is the soundtrack absolutely beautiful? Yeah, but there's more to it than that. The music is dynamic, meaning it changes with gameplay. Get closer to enemies, and the music will start ramping up. Cello goes more and more nuts the closer you get to rats.
Fine. These rooms are open now. Maybe we'll find something. That's sulfur, right?
Yes.
Stuff like that. Musical moments will wait on you to trigger them. And the music hits so many emotions right on the head. Joy. Contentment. Fear. Anger. Cultism. No, wrong song. That's better. And lastly, desperation. Holy crap, they brought back the best song from Innocence! Woo! I love how the music just eggs on this super aggressive playstyle, even in spite of Lucas's pleas.
Okay, so, killing seems to have gotten us in a lot of trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be negatively affecting Hugo, right?
Right.
So we shouldn't kill anyone, right?
Right. Yeah.
Amicia? Amicia, don't! Think about Hugo!
I do it for him. Vive le roi Hugo! And I'll kill you again if I have to! I'll kill all of you!
I should probably get back on track. The instrument choices here are probably my favorite in any soundtrack ever. Cello, choir, subtle synth pads, lutes, pipe organ, bagpipes, viola da gamba, and Nick. What the frick? No, that's not getting said. Sorry, that's not a real word. The cello and the choir do the majority of the heavy lifting, with the cellos being the grounded, down-to-earth sounds, while the choir represents the dream and the call of the Immaculate. However, the two swap places in a few specific and clearly distinct ways. The choir will also represent the cult and the Count of Provence, and just the island of Lacuna in general, while the cello will also just shriek as the Macula. Holy crap, that's a cool sound. Two things I want to mention that are not necessarily positive, but not really critiques either. First off, the choir says "grr" at one point, and it made me laugh a lot.
Well, that one is pretty hard to miss.
The teeth!
They're called Las Madres, the mothers.
The music really went "grr." It really went "grr."
Second thing I did not know about until Olivier brought it up in his walkthrough of the game.
So, I remember we wanted the Charlotte, the performer, actress, VO to hum the melody, but it was difficult for the production, to organize everything.
My gosh. That actually kind of sucks that couldn't work, because that would have been amazing. Unless she can't sing or something, in which case it might have been a little awkward. But assuming she can, that would have been one of the best parts of the game. Speaking of Olivier's walkthrough, I highly recommend you watch it if you love the soundtrack of this game. It is super insightful, and he'll point out a lot of details you never would have noticed. Link in the description. As if he needs more attention than I do. Watch his video.
We need to be more careful.
But how do you be more careful, Lucas? Do you want to explain that to me? You want to explain how we be more careful? Hang on. Let me go into photo mode real quick. Hey, Lucas, do you want to explain to me? I didn't mean to get that close. You want to explain to me how we be more careful?
Have I praised this game enough to get my point across that I love it? Like, so much. This is probably my favorite game ever. But the best 10-second review I can give of this game is that it's less consistent than Innocence because it's swinging way harder. When it hits way harder. But when it misses... Let's start with one that probably only I care about, some sound design flaws. Because I don't have a section on just sound design, I just want to quickly say that in a setting like this, the best sound design is the one you don't notice. Most of the time, I did not notice the sound design until I started thinking about it and how they were functioning and stuff. It pops up in my mind occasionally. Aside from this point where the sound design is so good.
His heart commanding them.
Can you imagine how many...
So this is how it starts. What? Our punishment. What the hell? Bastards of the Imposter!
However, there's an effect on the guard's voice that I don't think should be there.
Are you going to the fertility site?
With my wife, yes.
Okay.
Maybe this year will be the one for us.
I hope so. You both deserve the child's blessing.
This is bothering me.
It could have been achieved several different ways. Ring modulation as in General Grievous's voice, or delay with the faster spots like on Darth Vader, or perhaps there's just a button in Wise that just says resonate. Regardless of how this effect is done, what I can say is it probably shouldn't be on these guys. The reason why is their mouth is showing. There's nothing for their speech to be resonating against. The heavy armor guys, yeah, they should be echoey, but these dudes, no. All right, next up, I'm gonna talk about this bird. Why? Sir, you have a sword and are fully armored. Your target is a teenage girl and a toddler. So why the frick are you wasting all of this time with a falcon instead of just doing your job?
You never escape me, not with my falcon. We're watching you like we're not a hawk, like a falcon. Ha! Get on, boy! I sense I've made a mistake of some kind.
Look, this doesn't keep me from enjoying the game, but it's really out of place in this game.
Whose idea was the
bird? The last one is, big. Both of these levels here behind me are, well, they miss pretty hard relative to the rest of the game. The rest of the series, really. Chapter 9 is important for the story, but is completely lacking in the gameplay department, and Chapter 10 has the complete opposite problem. These slavers are a side quest in the main story. It probably wouldn't bother me as much if these two missions weren't back to back, but since they are, the pacing around this part screeches to a halt.
My falcon is also known for screeching.
Shut up. Apparently on launch day, this game was pretty unstable on all platforms except Xbox, which is what I'm on, so suck it. My game did freeze at one point.
Uh-oh.
And then unfroze.
Okay.
Okay, I'm done criticizing. Now time to analyze.
What this game does so well isn't something I could talk about in my usual tone. I could joke about how fun it is to dome people with rocks or goof on a design decision here and there, but what it does so well just isn't funny at all. And I want you to understand what I love so much about this game, so we're gonna take this part a little more seriously. You might have noticed that Requiem contains a lot of beaches, much like this one. But the most important of them are at the start of the game and at the end of the game.
The first one is in a dream Hugo has been having continually for a while. He wakes up on an island beach, being watched by a phoenix when the macula starts consuming him. In desperation, he follows the phoenix to a pond surrounding a big tree. The macula begins ravaging Hugo's body, to the point where he starts asking,
Is this dying? I don't want to die.
Hugo then crawls to the water that instantly heals him. Later, he tells Amicia that she should come with him to the island to be healed too, though she seems to realize that her wounds are not something that can be entirely healed. Her wounds aren't physical, but psychological.
See, while it's the same events that break the two Darun children throughout Requiem, how it affects them is different for each of them.
At the end of the last game, Amicia's wrath had been unleashed upon the Inquisition and Vitalis. And while that led to victory, the wrath remained. You can hear its musical motif throughout Requiem, even in a more joyful moment like this in the beginning. It may be dormant, but it's still there, lingering.
But wrath is a common trait among many video game characters. What makes Amicia special? Well, for me, it's where the wrath comes from.
Amicia has lost everything within a year. Her dog, her dad, her home again, and again. And on top of that, her mom, leaving Hugo as the only family she has left. She doesn't butcher all these people just because they're bad and she's good. No, morality isn't her concern at this point. Hugo is. Amicia's fighting isn't just from a place of loyalty though. She's actively fighting her biggest fear, one I think many of us fight constantly: loneliness.
I know how it feels. Fighting alone. Fighting not to be alone.
She wants what's best for Hugo, but to a degree that's selfish.
See, Amicia looks at Hugo as her life preserver in a stormy sea, the one thing that is keeping her from drowning in a sea of isolation and despair, but in truth, he is the very sea drowning her. The macula inside of Hugo is the very thing destroying Amicia's life, whether directly or not. The Inquisition came for them because of Hugo. The rats, the plague, they came from Hugo. The people killed, the cities destroyed. All of this because of Hugo, even if he didn't mean for it. Hugo just wants to be a normal boy, but because of this monster that has bore itself within his blood, he will never have that. Everyone from the Inquisition to the Order to his own mother to an extent want what is in Hugo, to experiment and control the macula for themselves. The only one fighting for him to have a normal life who won't give up on him is Amicia. But she's trying so hard to fight on her own terms that even when all this digging is, well, scarring him, for lack of better words, she keeps digging, regardless of how he feels.
Hugo realizes sooner than Amicia that his dream is a lie. Not quite that it's a trap yet, but that his dream won't be a reality. Amicia, however, refuses to let go. She convinces herself that the dream is just more metaphorical than literal, when the truth is that it's a trap. When they finally uncover the truth from the dream, it isn't a cure, but a tipping point for Hugo. Now that he knows what will happen to him if he gives himself to the macula, if he loses everything, he can at least hurt those that hurt him. And lose everything he does. Not long after this, the cult attempts to kill Hugo's family and take him as their own. The Count wounds Amicia and the Countess kills Beatrice, and when Hugo sees this, he nearly loses himself completely to the macula in order to kill the Countess.
This, along with many earlier moments, shows Hugo's reflection of Amicia's violent behavior, especially since this time, she's actively encouraging it.
You need more! You need more rats!
They succeed in killing her, but Hugo's mind is lost in the process. This is probably my second favorite section in the game. A short, simple walk through the corridor where the true gravity of what is happening hits Amicia like a freight train. Where Hugo was helping her with her wounds before, when her injured shoulder is reset, he responds with nothing. No supportful handholding, no encouraging words. He barely even looks in her direction, just a blank stare. An empty look of apathy from nothing more than a vessel of the macula. Despair almost consumes Amicia in this souvenir that doubles as the first time the game made me cry.
What a mess. I can't. Oh, please. Please. How am I going to do this? Please. I can't. Help me. Lord. Stop. Stop. Stand up. Stand up and go.
She drops the tough girl front, with only us and God to witness her plead and beg the Lord for any kind of help. With some guidance from Lucas and some time, she's able to bring back Hugo from the grip of the macula, even if only for now. The game goes on for a few levels until...
Shoot!
No! Amicia, no!
Thinking his sister is dead, he tries to attack the Count, but is taken to Marseille. Where thinking he has nothing left, he condemns the world to suffer with him, giving himself fully to the macula. Amicia rushes to reach him, and when she does, she's met with impossible things, and is able to talk to Hugo despite him not being physically there. Amicia goes through trials to unlearn what she's already learned, and us, the player, alongside her. She breaks from the path set by the bird statues, as they were alive. She concludes fighting the army of rat monsters is futile and surrenders by putting out the fire. Only then does she see Hugo.
I'm tired of all this. Too tired to fight. Please, I need to see you.
I'm proud of you.
Where are you?
I'm here.
Hugo, come. I thought I'd never see you again.
Me too.
I was so scared.
But you've done it. Can you walk?
Yes. Do you know how to get out of here?
Yes. Come.
Let's go.
At this point, I was properly crying. I'm not afraid to admit it. The organ, the acting, the first shimmer of hope I had seen in almost an hour, all of it combined to give just this huge emotional climax, but that hope didn't last long, did it? Because this isn't a hymn, it's a requiem.
Hugo shows you what the macula is doing with his help and tells you that he can't stop it. But Amicia can. She naively agrees to do anything for him, to which he gives his final request: to kill him and stop him from becoming the monster that destroys all he loves. Amicia, of course, starts trying to bargain for another way. She still wants to save him. She opens and closes a door, only for Hugo to disappear when she looks the other way. And at this point, he says his goodbye.
Where are you? Where are you?
I'm sorry, but you're ready now. To save everything.
Ready? How can I be ready for this?
I know, but I can't stop myself now. Only you can stop me.
Hugo!
I love you. I've been happy with you. Goodbye, Amicia.
I love you. I love you so much.
Amicia almost gives in to her despair when Lucas brings her back to Earth, so to speak. And with your objective clear, you march towards Hugo.
You might have noticed that Requiem contains a lot of beaches, much like this one. But the most important of them is at the start of the game and at the end of the game.
And here at the end, we see a seashore that is a far cry from the beautiful healing waters of Hugo's dream. An ocean very similar to the one we saw in Innocence that drowned Amicia when she fought against it to save Hugo from himself, only further pushing the narrative that Hugo is the very same ocean Amicia has been drowning in. However, the sea is no longer calm, but a violent crashing around a large tree that now imprisons your little brother. Every lie is built on a kernel of truth, I suppose. But what truth there was from that dream serves only to consume. So now you must unlearn what you have learned the entire game. You kill the one you were set to protect. Obviously, the thing that I can't quite get over with Requiem is its ending. Where Innocence ended with a bit of a bittersweet tone, it was more on the sweet side, but after the death of Hugo, I know the sweet here is the world hasn't ended in a literal sense, but Hugo's gone. Hugo was a boy who wanted nothing more than to do normal boy things, play kings and knights, go to the fair with his sister, and just in general, not have to deal with the sights and realities that many of us don't see in our entire lives. After everything he went through, out of all the people, he deserved to go live in a cozy house up in the mountains and make friends with the birds. He deserved peace and distance from all this. But instead, he fell victim to a trap laid in his head by the macula. He fell victim to the selfish desires of a heartbroken count. He fell victim to despair.
It could be interpreted that the Hugo we see here in this end sequence isn't really Hugo, that it's just a hallucination from Amicia's subconscious, much like what we see in Innocence. But I refuse to believe that. Because to me, that just would feel like a pointless rug pull along the same lines of, it was all just a dream. That old cliche, because, well, it practically is.
No. All natural laws stop here. So this is him. This is his goodbye. This is his last wish. To save all he loves by having Amicia let him go. If you're like me, this is painful, and to let go of this adorable little boy in such a brutal way just sucks. But as the saying goes, if you love someone, sometimes you have to let them go.
Because love isn't about what you want. Love is about putting someone else's needs above your own. Amicia was able to put away her desires for companionship with Hugo in order to do what he needed her to do, which was to let him go and save the rest of humanity. And while tragic, I think that's beautiful, that his last request in that time was to sacrifice himself to save the rest. What a king. Thank you for watching.
Hey everyone, I'm Micah. You can visit my YouTube channel. Thomas will link that down below. Or my website, which is mrayh3.
I'll just link it below. Send me a link on Discord.
Click the links below to view my stuff. Thanks for having me, Thomas.
Thanks for voicing Lucas.
You're welcome.
This is Alegra Sophia. I have an album out called Also I Make Noise. Thomas is going to link it in the description, so check it out if you want to.
Was that so hard?
It was. It was really difficult. Thank you for asking.
I have finished.
Yeah! Vive le. Vive le. Rah! 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 Here
The first of which, frick.
Are you getting emotional?
No, I'm just brain dead.
Oh, that's fair. Are you jealous of my chair?
Not really, it looks very uncomfortable.
Pretty uncomfortable. Uncle Sandy's wet.
Okay, so killing seems to have gotten us in a lot of trouble, right? I put too much of a stank on the right.
Because the drunks are superior in the French.
Where else are you gonna find this content, bro?